Look, you can be just as guilty as me. You're out scrolling on social media one day through the forums, group pages, and Discord chats, and then you see it. Someone linked the knife that you've always had an eye on but never had the guts to buy. It just got back in stock at your favorite retailer, or maybe it's low in stock and you know that the restocking of that knife happens only a few times a year. You throw reason and responsibility out the window along with your monthly budget, and you hit pay now because Sezzle is a payment option, and that helps your guilty conscience. After the 2 to 7 day waiting period and endless back and forth on whether or not you made the right decision, it finally arrives. The moment has come to see if it's worth it. You take it out of the packaging as your heart is racing, and lo and behold, it is. This is the Spyderco Native 5, and this was that knife for me. Let me explain. The Native 5 has an overall length of 6.95 inches. The blade length is 2.95 inches with a cutting edge of 2.45 inches. Closed, you're looking around 4 inches, and it weighs 2.8 ounces. I think that has to do a lot with the carbon fiber handle. It's internally milled to cut down on a little bit of weight. And last but not least, it has an S90V blade, which is pretty sweet. On this knife, I also have an MXG dip carry pocket clip, and it has a 4-way position pocket clip, but I'm always going to ride that right side deep carry tip up clip. It also has a lock back style mechanism, which I think is really great. I mean, you're going to find that on every single Native 5. This one's no exception. And with a lock back style mechanism, I think you can kind of fall. Most people either just absolutely do not like it or they love it. I kind of fall in that middle of like, I like it on certain types of knives, and the Native 5, I like it. I think it works really well for this knife, and that's okay. And if you're not into lockbacks, totally fine, but I still wouldn't discredit this knife because of that. Here we have it also compared next to a TRM Neutron 2, and then we will put it with a big knife, the Rec exclusive Giant Mouse Ace Grand. So you can see it's actually pretty darn close to what the Neutron 2 is. That's also a sweet knife, and it's smaller for sure than the Rec Grand, but that's not a surprise. That's a big knife. That's a beefy blade, and it's just for a size comparison. Now, what I like the most about this knife, it's just a beautiful knife, right? And when I saw this online, and I've seen it on pictures on people's Instagrams and Facebook posts, this just always caught my eye as a beautiful knife. I think a lot of that has to do with the carbon fiber scales on it. I think they just pop really well in the light. They feel really good. They're textured, fluted. They just feel really good. They look really good. And S90V, this is actually the first ever knife I've bought in S90V. And I'm I'm proud of that. This is a sweet knife. It doesn't come in stock often, right? So like it'll go in these waves. And what I've noticed is like there'll be a very limited resupply to dealers, and then they very quickly go out of stock. And so when I first saw this knife, it wasn't in stock anywhere, and I was like, that's a bummer. Maybe next time, it'll come in stock eventually. And then I remember someone in the Millie PM2 Perry 3 Club on Facebook, they posted like, hey, it's in stock, get it now. And I went, I think it was Knife Joy or somewhere like that, and they only had 2 left. They either got a very limited resupply or just they had a bunch and they got sold pretty quickly. And I made just a gut reaction. I'm gonna buy this knife, and I'm really happy I did, because when I got it, when I received it, I got it. I understood what the hype was about this knife. Again, I'm not super big into the Native 5, the line. I know some people are, and that's awesome. They have beautiful collections, and I've seen pictures of them. They're great. But this one in particular, I was like, if I'm going to have one Native 5, this is the Native 5 I want to have. And I got it. And again, I have no regrets about it. It's definitely a knife that I like to carry when I dress up as opposed to dressing down. It is a very usable knife, and right now though, this is one of the most expensive knives I have in my collection. And so I have this weird relationship right now with my knives, is like I keep the nicer ones nice. They cost a decent amount of money for me, so I'm going to keep them nice. I'm not just going to go beat the crap out of them. You can disagree with that. That's totally fine. That's just where I'm at right now, and that could change one day. Who knows? That's the awesome thing about collecting knives and being in this hobby, is that your tastes change and it evolves, and that's fine. And your thought process changes and evolves, and that's fine. So I highly recommend, if you can get a chance to hold one and use it, just play with it before buying it. I recommend doing that. But also, it's one of those things, if you've had a Native 5 before, it's going to handle the same way, right? The only thing that would be different is, are you used to certain types of scales? Or, do you only have a lightweight? Have you only had a G10? The carbon fiber one feels great, though. I was surprised at how light it was. And I've had carbon fiber before, but I think just the milling on the inside gives it that extra lightweightness, if you will. And so, this knife, it's really great. I highly recommend checking it out. I'll link some places down below where you can hopefully sign up for notifications if they're not in stock. Maybe they will be in stock. I can't tell you when they do come in stock, but it is a knife that does get restocked. Let me just reiterate that. It does come back in stock. It's just not often. So when it is restocked, you should really consider doing it and buying it. If you are a collector of Spydercos or just cool knives in general, I think you should check this knife out. It looks great, feels great. I think it's a dress knife. I think it's a knife that I would take to a wedding with me or some type of business event. If I was in a business that had an event like that, I just think that it is worth getting, worth showing off. If you've never handled this particular one before, but you have handled a Native 5, pretty much the same thing. Only difference being that this has a carbon fiber handle, and the ones you've probably handled are G10 or a glass reinforced nylon. But the carbon fiber handles amazingly. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you feel like subscribing, hit that as well, and I'll see you in the next video.